KKHT wants you to meet three of the classiest guys in real estate.
I am Chris Kelso, the maestro of mortgage.
I am Rob Cook, the godfather of real estate.
And I'm Joe Orsack, the king of credit swing. And together, we're the Real Estate Rat Pack. Much like us, real estate right now is smoking hot. So whether it's buying, selling, or owning, you need to check out the Real Estate Rat Pack.
They're here to take your calls and answer your questions live. Call now, 1-800-808-5548. And now, the Real Estate Rat Pack!
Oh, my.
Year and a half, still not old.
It never gets old, especially when you realize the groups that we have in.
As long as I can see out of the peripheral vision of my eyes, Rob shaking his head, I'm still happy.
You know we've got something correct.
You know, we're going to have a great show today.
This is going to be a really fun show.
Today.
It is. This is going to be another show where my budget is going to be shot because I already know my wife wants half of the things they're going to be talking about.
Absolutely, and we're going to make sure that it happens. And before we get started, though, you know, we have three of our alumni that
Like
have
your
birthdays
dedication,
today.
Rob.
That is correct. We got 3 birthdays of our alumni.
We've got Christy Borden,
Happy birthday, Christy.
Christy Stratton, and Lisa Kornhauser. All
Happy
alumni.
birthday to both Christies and to Miss Kornhauser.
So, but we've got an action-packed show. I think we
Yes.
should move on. So,
Will Smith is in the conference room. We look to get him on later on.
You know, he has been trying to get on the show for
I know, a
months.
while. His agent was getting really ugly with me.
Always in the green room and never gets on. So, Joe, you're responsible for our first guest.
I am responsible?
Yes, you are.
Holy cow. I'm glad we got that recorded.
Responsible or accountable?
Accountable. Either way. So if you'd like to make introductions.
Yes, you know, we have a really fun show planned today. I was over at a new friend of mine, Hector Villarreal, over at his store Lucho in Uptown Park.
Can I invoice?
Yeah, yes. I was picking out a nice tie and a shirt and hanging out last Saturday, or a couple Saturdays ago, and ran into this gentleman that we're going to have on here. We got talking shop, and he started showing me some pictures of his work, and I was absolutely blown away. And then he started talking to me about his niche and how he markets his skills, and I was even further interested. I said, man, we got to do a whole show on this idea, and that is to renovate or to sell. When does it make sense? We have...
That could make a theme.
It could. We should do a show on that. We have Kristian Bell from Kristian Bell Construction. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Master carpenter. Man, I tell you what, I'm going to have to put a cellar in just so I can have him build a wine cellar for me because it was some beautiful, beautiful work.
Well,
so we'll have to show the audience some pictures.
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much.
Well, welcome. And I'm always curious as how people started in business. Give us a little background on you.
My background came from a sloppy dorm room roommate, 12 by 12 room, 2 guys.
You wanted to wall him off?
Yeah, trust me, I would have loved to. But I tried cleaning up his mess by building an entertainment center. And obviously, in the struggling days of college, I didn't have much money, so I used the cheapest plywood possible, a skill saw, and a nail gun. And I actually built an entertainment center just because I had a will, and I was like, I'm going to do this to try to organize a room. So it started from there. So I self-taught myself carpentry. My dad has skills in the field as well. Not that he actually taught me how to do carpentry, but that's the way our mind works. We can think 3D dimensional and be able to construct things without actually needing directions. So it started from there and just went on and on and on.
Don't
and got
try
more
this at home,
clients.
folks. He is a professional.
That is correct. Yeah. Everything's only a quarter of an inch off, but it's cool, though.
Exactly.
Well, both of us are about to talk. Go ahead.
Highly honed skills here. So tell me how the Kristian construction actually started.
The construction portion started as I created more clientele with some of the custom pieces I was doing. I didn't realize what I was doing until I started, bringing my dad around. My dad's been in the industry for probably 40 years, and some of the projects I brought him on actually blew him away, and I was probably 23, 24 years old doing some of the things that I was doing, and so it kind of, my portfolio kind of just caught on, and as I showed people wanted more stuff, and they couldn't believe what I was doing, so I'd continue to get more clients, and all being said, I was doing this in the off-season from professional baseball, so this was more of a hobby. It was just a passion of mine, a love of mine, so I loved creating things and designing things, and also, obviously, building them. So once baseball ended, which happened to be from a table saw accident of cutting my index finger off, my I started my company 2 weeks later.
Everybody in the room is cringing.
Yeah. So 2 weeks later, I was like, all right, baseball's over. Let's start doing what I was meant to be doing anyway. So I opened up my contracting company, and my first job, I actually went golfing with the client yesterday, which is a good friend of mine from high school, is John Dinkins. So it started from there.
So you'll do any scope of remodeling then?
Any scope of remodeling. Obviously, a contractor's hired based on using multiple trades. I mean, everybody might know a plumber, might know a carpenter, might know a painter, but contractors come in effect whenever you use multiple trades, and that's what you're using the resources for.
Yeah, well, we're always tell people hire an expert. It is absolutely worth it to have somebody that knows what they're doing. Yes, you can do it yourself, but you're probably not going to do it well.
True.
And it's not going to come out like you think it's going to come out.
I've been in a lot of amazing remodeling projects, and I don't mean amazing as in they're great products.
And there's often times they've had to come in, step in after somebody attempted to do it on their own and finish it up.
The attempt, exactly.
Yes.
I've been brought in several times from homeowners firing their previous contractor or firing their labor force that they hired to create the project that they thought they were trying to create.
I was a former custom home builder. I can tell you, it is not simple.
Nope.
And working with trades, it could be really a big challenge.
Yeah, you're organizing chaos.
Or some sort of control over it.
Well, what's seeing as the largest points or the most important changes that people are making in their existing homes right now?
Obviously, the big ticket items, which would be your kitchen, your master bathroom. A lot of people want to do updates. I end up coming in there, not necessarily being just a facelift contractor. We do all custom cabinetry on site. Any kind of custom build, any kind of rearranging of like, hey, this contractor said, we can't move this wall because it's load bearing. I was like, I'll move anything and everything with flush mounted beams, whatever you want to do, with opening your space up to create a modern floor plan. So I kind of go in there and wipe the slate clean whenever I start talking with the homeowners based on, I got what you got in the past and I got what you've been told no to, told yes to, or what you think you should be doing. But give me your ideas, give me your dreams, give me your aspirations of what you're really trying to do and what you really want to create with your house. So we start from there and just go forward.
Well, one of the most difficult things is, of course, a lot of people don't like those old 8-foot ceilings, things like that, and raising that up.
Right.
Have you ever had that challenge where you've had to raise the ceilings?
Yes, of course.
And tell me what's involved with that.
A lot of structural framing is involved with that. Depending on if you have attic space to accommodate that, you can do, kind of getting technical terms, you can do like fur downs wrapping around the edge of the house based on the slope of the roof. Or you actually see the slope of the roof whenever you raise the ceilings around the perimeter edges. But other than that, it's if you have attic space, you can do it. Based on having a second floor, we can rip off the whole top of your house and raise the ceilings.
You've actually added a second floor.
Add a whole second floor. Extreme
I've
renovations.
seen some of that. I've seen some of that work. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And that again, I have a friend right now. In fact, one of our past alumni, Mike Mignon, he's in that process. Do I buy a new place,
or do I renovate
and sell what I have?
Right.
Or
this
renovate.
show is for him.
And
This
show
show
for
would
you,
be
Mike.
for him, yeah.
So let's talk about that, Kristian, because that was really something that caught my interest when you were talking about that. Was that's part of your presentation of showing when it makes sense to do the custom remodel, when the resale is worth that investment.
That would all be based on the area that you're living in, price per square foot, and obviously cost of actually construction. So what are you ultimately trying to do? I would recommend anytime doing a renovation, if you're going to be doing an extreme renovation, this is probably something like y'all are talking about, if I want to end up, obviously you have to make a commitment to selling my house or else I'm going to do a remodel. I mean, those are large numbers you're talking about of what they're trying to do to their existing house to make it what they want. So whenever you're talking about complete gut, your majority of time that I explain to homeowners is we try to add as much square footage as possible whenever you're doing that complete gut to help turn around, make some money from that existing square footage. And I only recommend these, and whenever you're selling a house or a valued house at a price per square foot range, would be around $180 a foot plus. So cost of construction can range anywhere from $100 to, let's say, $130, $140, depending on how high end scale you want. But at that rate, if your house sells at 180 to plus or 200 plus, you're making money on that added square footage. So the extra money you're making on the added square footage, you turn around and put it into the existing square footage to actually have a fully renovated house rather than just doing an updated facelift. So you actually get what you want. I mean, you're tearing down walls, you're moving stuff, you're updating AC, new duct work, electrical, updating that from whatever your house was built back in the day.
I'd like to hear about some of the new technology. You got tankless water heaters,
right.
and you've got all sorts of new things that are being used. High efficiency air
Yet
conditioner.
another thing I want.
Mitsubishi has a nice ductless system when you're adding on rooms and things like that. Talk about what people are looking for when they're trying to update their technology and things.
Did your people not necessarily are looking for anything? It's kind of what you're presenting, and it's based on your base grade product of what you're what you have, and my product comes with a tankless water heater. A lot of people have pros and cons to deal with those based on bad past experiences, but everything is coming along. I mean, technology, the newer tankless water heaters I haven't had any problems with any of my clients.
Are you putting in smart homes and things like that, where people, a lot of the new home builders are having it so you can operate a lot of your home from an iPad?
Yeah, they. Steve Eckerman was one of my clients that he's one of the ones that I added the whole second floor onto his house. We added like 1,750 square feet or something to it. He actually, we ended up getting switches, which actually come with a sensor that can actually dial into your cell phone or an iPad or whatever you want, so you can actually control. I mean, people right now can redo their switches. All it is a switch that actually has a device on the back of it that actually can read into it.
I'm going to Home Depot right after the show.
They're pricey per switch, but it's fun to play with. You can control everything from your cell phone. It's great.
Yeah, well, I've seen a lot of the new stuff, and we talk a lot about lifestyles. So I think people buy lifestyles when they buy a home,
right?
And we're seeing a lot of outdoor type of things like kitchens and things like that, where you may not necessarily get your money back on it, but
sellability factor.
There's sellability factor and an enjoyment factor.
Of course.
I decided not to sell, so therefore I want to enjoy.
I pay a lot of money for convenience, and
So are you seeing a lot of? Are you building a lot of those?
Outdoor kitchens, a lot. No, it's not a little, but yeah, there's definitely people want to have outdoor living. And even being in Houston, people say, it's Houston weather, but Houston has amazing weather certain times of the year.
It's only about 4 months. It's kind of uncomfortable. And even in the evenings, you can still get a comfortable evening.
Exactly.
I would agree.
We have 2 weeks of spring, not necessarily in a row.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Indoor outdoor living is definitely huge, more so than what people would think. So yes.
And the other thing we talk about, there's a lot of websites out there talk about, if you're staying within the confines of the square footage that you have and not adding anything, that you typically will get your money back on kitchen and baths.
You're not going to get your full money back. You're going to get percentages back. So it depends on all the area that you're in, obviously, but an updated home in Memorial is going to be a lot different than the updated home out, in Cinco Ranch. Obviously, it's huge to deal with your real estate. Obviously, a real estate person would tell you that. But kitchens would give you a percentage back, but definitely not 100%.
Something we touched on earlier is, and we're down to almost 2 minutes before we hit the break here. So I wanted to make sure people know how to get a hold of you, but also what are the telltale signs of finding a good contractor? How does someone know when they're working with a quality contractor?
On a quick point, just to cover that briefly, would do your due diligence. I mean, the questions to ask whenever you're dealing with a contractor is, first off, ask them what their references are. Go see their products. I mean, you have to compare apples to apples. You're not going to, compare anything with what they're selling you. You have to go see it yourself. Actually see, hey, what's this number compared to? So don't ever go down the sheet and actually look at the bottom dollar number. You want to go see what that number actually compares to, because somebody's number might be the same exact as somebody else's, but their quality might be a heck of a lot better, or a heck of a lot less, based on they give you more quality with the actual service that they give you. So definitely go see products and definitely ask references, and don't just call 1 or 2 references. Call like 6 of them, for the fact that everybody's going to have a bad client, for the fact that their personalities might not mesh, but yet look at the product and then compare with the clients and how the actual how happy they are with the product.
Do you have a web presence where people can take a look at your?
Yes, KristianBellConstruction.com. Anybody can go check on online and check out pictures, portfolios, see the bios of our amazing team that we have. Amazing people behind us and make the operation work.
I've been on it the whole time we've been sitting here on the show so far.
Part of your team is here.
Yeah.
Part of my team is here.
Why don't you introduce
my right hand person?
We have to make sure she talks because she didn't want to. So.
Christina Robertson handles the whole back office area, and she basically handles a lot of the chaos. And there is a lot of chaos whenever you're dealing with a company of this size. So it's she definitely has her hands full, and she has to put up with me. So she's doing good.
Say hi.
Hi. I always say that I'm never mind what's going on behind the curtain.
Don't focus on me. Don't focus on me. Yeah, that's what she's always like. And I was like, girl, you're gonna be out here. I was like, come
make it happen.
Christina, tell everybody how to get a hold of you guys, so that if for anybody that wants to get a quote or look at some of your work.
Well, you can certainly go to the website, but you can also call. I'll give you Kristian's number. It's 713-385-0156. And my number at 832-294-3466.
Very good, very good.
And it's Kristian Bell Construction, Kristian.
And you can also
Bell
find us on
Construction.
Facebook. I have a like page and a personal page that I usually only use for inspirational posts and pictures. a lot of post pictures.
We are up against a break, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
My life is gonna be beautiful. I've sunshine enough to spread.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back. As we're coming back, my voice is going.
Well,
by
your
the way.
voice is going.
I know. It's leaving today.
Is that late night partying stuff?
It's that late night partying, out with the
playing
kids.
poker again?
Cigars at 2 in the morning.
You know what
will
it was?
get
It was
you,
as I was
Chris.
swimming with the kids. I think they shocked the pool because I felt it when I got into it last night. It was swinging in one of the community pools. And I woke up this morning, and the first thing I was like, pool, that
What a
shocked it, and it killed
segue
me.
to our next guest.
I know.
It really was.
It really was good.
How does that
Yeah, it
work?
was amazing.
I didn't
That
even
was
make
all
that
like
way
it was
either.
almost like it was planned.
Wow.
Well, we have up next yet another sponsor. This is like I have joked
One of our
that
great sponsors.
it is the worst sponsor for me because we have him on regularly, and every time we have him on, Kim is pulling up the website and looking at pools, and that's what I want, and this and that, and I'm like, oh, there went the budget.
Hey,
again.
Kim, you can call in right now and schedule an appointment with
That's
us.
right.
She listens. She listens to the show.
Well, we have Brett Hatfield with Down Under Pools.
Down
Welcome
Under
back.
Pools.
Well, thank you.
The most
Good to be back.
fantastic looking pools, no joke. I would say that whether you were
You're still
sponsoring
not
this
getting
show
a
or
free.
not.
You're still not getting a free pool, Joe.
It keeps chiseling away.
I know. Can't blame the guy for trying.
I've got a ledger,
Yeah.
like $2 a comment.
Yeah, I tell you what, he is an incredible individual, number one, because one of the things we talk about is, we were talking about this a bit earlier, how do you find a professional? Go to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show. Find all the guests that we've had on here. Everyone we bring on is professional. Brett's no different. I mean, not only is he an incredible person, and that's where we start off with, but the pools that you build are absolutely incredible.
Yes.
I mean,
appreciate that.
what you absolutely do out there, obviously we've seen them in person, we've seen them, everything you've got on your on the internet and on the web. But how's it going? I mean, what are you seeing right now during the summer?
You know what? It's extremely busy, and everybody wants their pool in yesterday, and they only sit down and really focus on it when we start getting hot and the weather starts to heat up. Kind of a little bit of a rule of thumb. Sometimes it might pay people to sit down and have a little bit of a think about it, maybe during the winter. Because you're not going to be in your yard. You can live with a little bit of the mess and the disruption to a lifestyle rather than trying to squeeze it all in and hope to have everything done before the summer actually gets here. Because it's a process that takes a little bit of time.
Absolutely.
I know that might be a hard number to hit, but now I'm catching it.
I'm like, what's going on? It's moving around the room here. I don't want it. Stay away from me.
If I'd say your typical pool that you build, what is the build time?
Once again, there's no specific number. I mean, the pools can be built in a pretty rapid pace. But if you want it done properly, if you want to do due diligence, and obviously, then it's don't focus too much on the time, because what we're doing is we're dealing with contractors, and that's why it's really important to circle back around to come back to what we were talking about, or Kristian was talking about a little bit earlier. We don't sit down and because in some cases we use subcontractors as well. We don't sit down and chisel down their numbers and what it is that they duly deserve to be paid in order to do a job. So, in order to reduce the price of something's got to come from somewhere. Having said that, things come along, and I'll circle back around again, things come along in the course of construction process, especially for us not being undercover, that rain comes along. We have people that just all sorts of different reasons why it can...
I'm getting a sense we're not going to get an answer. So wow, we walked all the way around that.
We did.
Now, you actually address outdoor lifestyles. I mean, you don't do just the pool. You also build decks.
Yes. Yep.
And so, typically, talk about deck building. And
well, you know what? Decks. Let's talk about patio and a deck. A deck I refer to as an area that goes all the way around the pool. So traditionally, we're always going to put in decks. So patios would be a cover. So it could be a solid cover. It could be a drip-through cover to go over a deck area. And so to define, what are you laughing at? So yeah, to define specifically a deck, we build all wood decks, concrete decks, whatever you want.
So, and I know there's a lot of different types of materials for decks. That tech deck that they have out there that's supposed to be impervious. Trex. Is that being used quite a bit?
It is being used quite a lot. Yeah.
And so typically when you're building a deck,
y'all are useless.
You, Brett?
I don't know.
It just happened on the last show.
I guess it must
How
have been
about those
something
Astros?
I said. I guess it's all this talk about decks,
right
you know. If you've got a big deck, they'll all come along.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Hey, look,
Yes,
to come back around and to address something that Kristian had touched on, finding a good contractor, it's really important to, I can't look at you guys.
The views of the Real Estate Rat Pack and their sponsors are not the views of the station.
Yeah.
May or may not be.
Keep going, though. You were talking about pools and decks.
Is you've got to do your due diligence. Just because somebody comes in with a really low number doesn't mean that you're going to get a quality product. And so once again, it takes some thought and some planning to provide a space that is cohesive and works with your existing structure and your existing architecture. Taking inventory and stock of landscaping assets, and then creating a space that works. Go ahead.
And you mentioned something really interesting just now. You said take advantage of your existing architecture. I've been in homes in which the pool they put in or the decks they put in don't match the style of home. What do you do when somebody is trying to do something? I mean, how do you consult with somebody on that?
All you can do is advise. Right. As a designer, my job is to advise you and let you know what, I really believe that you're going in the wrong direction here, and this is why.
Right.
I'm always looking for something. I like balance and symmetry. And the same thing with colors. When you have a color palette of the brick style and the different textures of brick, or stucco, is really going to determine whether you end up with a Mediterranean feel or a contemporary feel, and all of these feels can be molded slightly.
You said something. Kim and I actually are looking at a pool, and Rob, we're waiting to jump in on that comment.
Quit looking and start doing.
And so we were talking about it, and with the budget we were at. I'm like, hey, just give me a jacuzzi and I'm happy. I don't need a pool. I want the hot tub and want to soak and chill out and have a glass of wine and all that sort of thing. And turns out the kids don't.
Yeah,
don't
kids
want to
are
do that.
looking with those soulful
like,
eyes,
really,
with
Dad?
with their little
I'm like, you
floaties
can
on
do laps in the jacuzzi.
There's an ongoing debate, and it's interesting. We've got Colleen coming up here really shortly, and she may be able to shine a little bit of light on it. It's a discussion I've had. Do hot tubs or jacuzzis, as we want to call them, do they really assist in the sale of a home? Do they or don't they? And it's a really interesting point, because sometimes if you've never been exposed to a pool and a spa, will you use it? And it can be a lot of money to have tied up into an aspect or an area of your outdoor living that you're just not using. So it's really, really important to sit down and ponder those and filter through it.
Well, and that's kind of touching. That's getting at where I was heading with this. In that, when we were talking about the budget, you said something that really got me thinking, which I hadn't considered before, was rather than maxing out your budget by including a spa or a hot tub, I would much rather see you invest that into the landscape and the rest of the environment, so that it creates an environment that is inviting and that really draws you in, and creating an experience of being in the backyard. And I was like, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Joe, it's important that you bring that up, because at the end of the day, it is about an experience. When somebody walks into your friends that walk into your home, and their eye goes up and it extends on out through windows of a living room into the area at the back of your house, which is an extension of your living area, it needs to be inviting. It needs to draw you out there. It needs to be an extension of that feel and that homely and that family sense. So yes, it is. It's not always. I always tell my clients, don't stop focusing on the shape of the pool. It's not about the shape of the pool. Right? It's how we frame it. It's how we make that feel, how we move people around in that space, how we use different tone, color, tint, texture. There's all of these things that will create a different feel and make it just a beautiful space to go and want to be in every weekend.
So, you were against the city park pool look in the backyard, is what you're saying.
Well, that works for those who like that kind of thing,
Well, looking at pictures on your website and things like that, I mean, those pools look like they were an integral part of that original construction. They look like it just, when one of them just blew me away. It's like, wow, it looked like the builder had done it.
Right.
And you were able to just kind of attach it to that back porch area.
And Rob, just really quick to circle back around to answer the question on how long does it take. It really depends upon the complexity of the project. So it can take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, on medium to simple projects, to 10 weeks on or more on more complex projects.
Well, you get complex where you're putting in a kitchen, you're doing the landscaping, or you're doing the pool. I can imagine you could probably easily spend 6 months on something like that.
Absolutely.
Depending on the decking as well.
And spend on the decks, especially. And of course, and you probably never have clients change their mind in the middle of the project, do you? Ever.
Never.
That's what I like about you, Rob. You're funny.
Well, we are literally down to the last seconds before we have to take a break here at the bottom of the hour, but I want to make sure folks know how to get a hold of you.
You know what? They can call me at 281-236-4344, or they can go on our website, which is downunderpools.com, and I'll spell that because it's spelled a little bit funny. That's DOWNUNDAPOOLS. I had to think about that.
Down Under Pools.
Down Under.
Down Under Pools, yep. Go along, and if you have questions, even if you're not going to build right now, and you have some questions, so that you can you get yourself better educated. There's no stupid question, only the one that you don't ask. And the more questions that you ask, especially in my situation, the more comfortable I feel.
He obviously hasn't been on this show long.
Well, that is good, though. One of the things that we tell everybody all the time, we only bring on professionals. Not only is he a great individual, but he builds some incredible products. And I tell everybody, I get back to
beautiful.
Speaking about circling back around, I believe thoroughly in doing business with people you like doing business with, and great individuals. So far, we had 2 of those on.
Cool.
Well, we're coming up against a break again right now, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Scarlet billows start to spread. Fancy gloves, though, where's old Maggie Heath, babe? So there's never...
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And welcome back.
There's a party going
We're
on in the background.
We're having a party in this house right now.
You start talking about pools, which inevitably leads to talking about outdoor parties and all that sort of thing.
And all the decks.
We were already, having waterfalls and margaritas and everything else were in the background here. So,
speaking of sponsors, we have a great sponsor on our radio show. It's Capital Title of Texas.
Heck yeah.
And one of the things that we do with Capital Title, we tell them all the time, hey, bring on some experts in the field, mainly bring on people you like to do business with.
They're the best about inviting people on.
They are. And let me tell you, we have one of the premier escrow officers in Capital Title here.
Woohoo.
Not only is she great, but she will close you anywhere, anytime. I hate to say that, but it's true. She'll close you anywhere, anytime. She's always over at my office closing. Marcy Abbas. Marcy, say hello. You do. You have a key to my office. That is true.
Good morning, everyone.
She is an incredible individual. And I tell everybody, if you were ever looking at doing a great closing, Marcy is incredible. Not only is she good in the closing, but she's very flexible in the way she does it.
And when it comes to title companies, the distinction is service. It really is, because it's the price is set by the state. Escrow fees may vary a little bit, but it's the service, and then when you get great service, that's when you want to keep going back to that.
You know, and an individual who can speak a lot about that service and a lot about other stuff that we're going to be talking about.
Well, hopefully she can talk about it.
I would hope so. It's going to be
brought
Colleen
her
Pye.
on.
I've heard she's done some closings.
You know, let me tell you though, she makes real estate easy as pie.
Oh wow!
Yes, she really does.
And so you want to go ahead and
This
introduce
cheesy
her?
joke brought to you by the maker.
Absolutely. Well, that actually is her. When I spoke to her on the phone, I heard that and I was like, that's actually a great saying right there. But we have Colleen Pye. She is with Remax. And Colleen, how are you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, we're a lot of fun. I think she's going to fit right in with the pack.
Oh, I think she's going to fit absolutely.
Partying in the middle of the middle of the show.
Scary but true.
So, Colleen, what we're talking about today is: do we remodel or do we sell? And so, from the perspective of you've got somebody that's like, you know, our house isn't fitting our needs anymore. It's not fitting our lifestyles, and when you go talk to them and they're saying, you know, Colleen, we're thinking about remodeling, but we're thinking about selling. I mean, carry on with that conversation, how that looks.
You know, it depends on what your life plan is for the next couple years. You know,
I plan on living for the next couple of years.
Yeah, well, you know, are you retiring? Are you in a 2-story and you don't ever use the upstairs? Why would you remodel your kitchen? You know, if you're not planning on staying there. You know, do you want to go into over 55 community? All kinds of things come into play, but always before you remodel, I think that you should consult your realtor.
So you ask,
a realtor.
I think that's again, always find a professional.
Because don't over improve.
Right.
We'll talk about that a little bit in the neighborhood. When, and of course, Joe, you're running against this. You said that you're worried about putting in a pool and that you're going to be overpriced for the neighborhood. It can happen.
Absolutely.
And so to have that kind of dialogue with the people listening out there. Why?
Well, you know, I always start with the end in mind. Every time I'm walking into a house, let's look at the end story here. And you've got to. I've been there. I've over improved many homes, and we did it for ourselves. We did it for our life entertainment.
Did it because you enjoyed it?
Yes, for my enjoyment. We stopped doing that.
Yeah,
because that's not. Although we're in an appreciating market, things like that, but you can go a little crazy, and you've got to start with that end in mind. Don't over personalize would be my biggest thing, because it's very hard to sell a house that's over personalized.
You know, and one of the things that's happened to me personally, right, is everyone always says this is, well, when you're making an improvement to the home, you're making it for your self enjoyment. Don't worry about it in the future. But let me tell you, when you're writing a check to sell that home, it's not a lot of fun. And so people sometimes forget that. They say, okay, it is for my personal enjoyment right now, but you have to have that you have to have that balance, right, Colleen?
Oh, well, particularly as it pertains to mortgage.
Right.
You are not. I just sold a house yesterday, $60,000 under appraisal value.
Wow.
Oh yeah, and they took the hit because it was going to happen.
This is something that in a really hot market, I think isn't talked about enough. Because it's so easy for people to get this perception, I just put my house on the market, it's going to sell for way, above what I paid for it, et cetera, et cetera. And those kind of things can cause people to make bad decisions. And that's where, in this over-improving the house, that type of thing, it's sometimes hard to disconnect emotionally from your home and just look at it from a logical standpoint, because it is your home. It's
not a logical decision usually.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's not all about price per square foot anymore either. It's about homes in one neighborhood. One can't sell for $400 and the rest of them are selling for $200. It's not going to happen.
Right.
They hit a ceiling.
Yeah.
That's and all the folks that we've had on so far have kind of touched on that. There's a couple different. You have the price per square foot, then you have sellability. So that's where maybe the improvement you put in the deck or something like this, you wouldn't see a $1 per square foot return, but the appeal of the item has a value as well. So. When folks are coming through and you have that attraction item that draws, well, maybe your investment there might not have been $1 per dollar return, but it's the thing that makes them say, I want this house versus the house that's, on the other street.
Yeah.
But, I want to ask you a question, Colleen, because I've been seeing a lot more of this. Is we're in a hot market right now. We all agree with this.
Very hot.
Very hot market. And we are seeing appraisals not make value right now. We're seeing it probably more often than I have seen in the past year, even as the market's gotten hot. And yet people are still paying those prices associated with that. What is that attributed to? Why are individuals still going there? Is it because they can't find anything else?
It is. And I'm seeing a lot of people just wanting it done, and they're willing to pay for it up front.
Right.
So I've got some homes right now that need work and need remodeling, and those homes are getting bypassed. They've been rejected by the market. So it is good to put some improvements into your home in order to sell it fast.
And that's important because, one of the things as we talk about as well is it is a hot market, but a good home still sells first versus a home that needs some work on it every single day.
Well, I mean,
the cost of a remodel, I say we've talked about this before in the past show, is that it may only cost you, I don't know, whatever, $1,000 to put in a new front door, but you can less than that or more expensive than that.
More expensive than that
on all sides. So, but anyway, just say it may cost you $1,000 to put in a new front door, but the perceived cost of the remodel in the customer's mind and the person who's looking at the house is always more.
Double, yeah.
They double that cost.
Well, the thing is, I think, Colleen, you find this to be true, is that people have put in a certain amount of money down, say they're getting 20% down, and then they have to go in and fix the air conditioner, put a new roof on it, and do all of that, and they're just not willing to do that. They at least want the basics to...
They don't have the money.
Yeah.
They're going for a certain kind of loan. We are seeing a lot of cash buyers right now.
Yep.
We're seeing the same thing. A lot of cash.
And we're seeing a lot of buyers who are putting even more money in 20% down.
Yes.
Some of your higher qualified buyers right now are walking in, and whereas before it was 20% down was standard, now they're coming in and saying, I'm going to do a 40 or a 50 or a 60% down.
And you know what? You're more likely to have your contract or your offer accepted with greater amount down.
I guess the other side of getting a home that needs remodeling is you can go in and do what you want. Talk to your mortgage professional to see if there's a loan product out there that you can actually roll those costs in.
Well, guess what? There is.
I know there is.
Well, 203K up to what's the limits on? What's the limits?
Well,
on
you got your 203K, you got your 203KS, which is a streamlined version.
Right.
You got your home style product, which is Freddie Mac. Or actually, Fannie Mae, and Freddie Mac has their version as well.
They're not listening.
So, exactly.
This may be more of a question for Kristian, and we may save it for the next segment. But what you just said there, the old renovate and flip, thing. There's all these TV shows. So everybody has this idea, about it. Do you see many folks? Are you experiencing that are looking for that opportunity?
I think you have to be a salesperson as well as a realtor. And there are a lot of realtors out there that are not salespeople at all. And you get the comments and the feedback. And I'm like, well, get with a mortgage person that actually understands you can roll these costs in and still be in budget.
The problem is a lot of people lack vision sometimes.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that's it. It's really
a lot of individuals that out there we see all the time is, and you see it and we see it on our side is they sit there and go, it needs a lot of work. I love the location, but it needs a lot of work. And it's because of that lack of vision that sometimes people, they want to see what their stuff looks like in there today.
I've got a house in Spring Branch right now that I've told the seller, people aren't seeing it. I see it. I grew up tearing down walls and moving things around and totally redoing a house. And I can see it. So now I'm going to accompany all showings because the realtors aren't seeing everything that this house can be. It's got 8-foot ceilings, and the fur down can come down, and oh my goodness,
it takes a certain eye. I can reasonably do that, but my wife is so much better at it. She can look at something and say, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. And I'm much more, and I've ran into this with a lot of my guy friends. I'm much more I know it when I see it. If I have all the pieces there and I can play with the pieces and move them around, the picture here, that kind of thing, I have an eye for that. But if I don't have it at all, I don't have a eye for seeing that kind of thing. And so I can relate to that.
Like Kristian does, I'm very three-dimensional thinking. I can build something, and I've been caught in Home Depot just looking at things for hours.
How about putting together patio sets?
Yeah, I'm really good at putting together patio sets.
Okay, cool deal.
And pergolas, which I did the week before. So,
you did a pergola
with
construction.
Some of these older homes and stuff, you've got to have that vision to get it to the modern.
Absolutely.
To the modern look.
It's hard to do. Of course, some things you don't know whether or not it's a load-bearing wall and things like that. So, moving a wall around, you don't know immediately whether or not that's going to be easy or more difficult. And Kristian has a solution for that. So
and then getting back to Colleen about the subject that we're talking about, though, is when you engage with a client, obviously, and they're going through and they are evaluating either improving where they have, or looking at selling and moving in a new area. One of the things that we're seeing challenges out there is their question comes in, where am I going to move to, though, because of the elevated cost? How do you address sort of those things?
Kind of depends on where their interest rate is from before, because a lot of times they'll find if they're from an interest rate from 6-7 years ago, it might be a lot higher. They could possibly get into a home for the same payment, same. That just all depends on their financial situation.
And that's a very good notation right there, because there's still a lot of individuals out there
that have loans
that still have 2 loans or still have higher interest rates, et cetera. And a lot of times they can buy a home for $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 more and have payments.
Who can they call to see if they qualify for something
Well, that's
higher?
a good question. I think
If only
we
there
have a
was
sponsor
somebody.
for the show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Definitely so.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Willow Bend Mortgage. Come on.
Just
Give them the
throw it
number.
out, it's okay.
Yeah.
Shameless plug. It's okay.
Absolutely. Now you can call anytime 713-256-9138. There it is.
See, the new strategy is we when you're selling your house in the Houston area, we sell your house and we just move you to the outskirts of Houston to Cleveland.
That is correct. That is correct. Now, Colleen, what area of town do you mainly work in?
I work all
Just
over.
a little commute.
All over the
I
place.
came from the moving industry, so I know the whole city.
That is awesome. That is
Yeah.
really good. And and it's good though because you get to see so many different changes. There's so many different areas that are going through a lot of growth, and some areas that you sit there and go, they're not experiencing necessarily the growth that other places are. So,
Colleen, we want to make sure folks know how to get a hold of you. If they're considering selling, renovating, they need to talk to an expert, and you can be that go-to person. How do they reach you?
You can reach me on my cell phone, 281-932-2784. I have a team of agents. When I can't help you, they can.
again, that's 281-932-2784. Her slogan is home buying and selling as easy as pie.
I love it.
I love it whatsoever. I do like it. We're coming up against a break right now, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
A lukewarm cold water flat with room for a couple of cinders and a mouse, a hole, and a trap. I don't.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
Time always flies when you're having fun.
And we're live!
Today, I saw, by the way, I did see Sigmund. This is a little off, but I saw Sigmund this week. You're going to hear me on the radio again this afternoon, at 1 o'clock on Real Estate Matters with Bill Napick, by the way. We talked about the Real Estate Rat Pack radio show.
Twice in one day, Chris.
Twice in one day. But I saw Sigmund. Sigmund. He was hanging out, and voice was absolutely the same.
Love it.
Yeah, well, we want him to come to the parties.
Yes, we need to get him to
and
we want him
introduce everybody as they
roam
walk
around
in.
with us.
That is correct. We'll have him do a voice recording on everybody's voicemail.
There you go.
That'd
be awesome. Well, we have a fun subject that we're talking about here to renovate or to sell, and just lots of interesting things to talk about. And I know Kristian was
Kristian's sitting here poised. I think
he was percolating in the back there as we
talk about something. So, we want to make sure that people walk away getting the information they need. And I know there's probably some other things that you probably want their consumers to know. So, talk about what it is they need to know in renovating.
Just be smart with the renovation of what you're doing and how you're doing it. There's obviously it's a huge thing. It's a huge undertaking. I'm somewhat of a therapist too, and I'm dealing with homeowners for the fact, like you're dealing with their largest purchase they've ever made, and then you're the guy going in and destroying it
and disrupting their
lifestyle, disrupting everything about it. So the whole process is not somebody people get excited about until they start seeing the transformation. Then they actually start, loosening it up and getting excited. But
we've talked about this before, but I actually asked people before they went and built a new house or were going to remodel their existing home. I asked them how their marriage is, or their relationship. Truly, because
absolutely.
it disrupts your lifestyle. I mean, you've got workers in your house, and when you're normally having your coffee in the morning and relaxing, and you've got workers in your house.
I've turned down a $500,000 job, no lie, because of the first meeting we had with the husband and wife.
You can
for
tell
the fact that I
could
tell, there was nothing they agreed on. Like I was like, this isn't going to be good.
Yeah, you have to have, you do.
This is not going to be good.
A decision maker.
Yeah,
and that person gets to make the decisions.
Because that's going to end in divorce.
Yeah, of course. and I want the entire process to be enjoyable, because it can be. The thing is, the first thing you have to do to make it enjoyable is trust your contractor. If you went through the due diligence and you're going all the way to the point of you pick somebody, you sign on the dotted line. From then on, you respect them and you trust them. For the fact that you're joining partners with somebody for the next however many months, especially with me, different with a pool guy, you're going to be seeing me for 6, 7, 8 months, depending on how big So it's definitely a marriage in itself.
I totally agree. And to embellish upon that thought, what's really interesting about what you do, Kristian, and what I do is that if you've gone through building a home, you're usually not on site all day or every morning. To sit down and watch the progress. You'll come along at different points during the week or bi-weekly or however, But when we come into your home and we disrupt everything and we have to make a mess, you've got to break some eggs in order to make an omelette. And so we're there in a fishbowl every day. So if we get let down by somebody, it impacts you as well, and you're there to see it. And so, you know what, once again, is ask more questions and understand the process. You know, like Kristian, I know the same as us, will sit down and educate you as best as we possibly can so that you know all the stuff that you don't want to hear, which is coming down the line at you, and that you're prepared for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, that makes for dead air. Everybody's looking at their phones and things like that.
No,
we got a show going on here.
Yeah, there's just a lot to take into an understanding whenever you're getting into the remodel process, and ultimately everything does affect. If there is any upset on the job site, whether it's weather, whether it's a contractor, or whether it's a subcontractor,
yep.
There's right, and especially right now, the Houston is blowing up enormously, in all the surrounding areas, obviously too. So even as a contractor, it's tough for us to actually to get our workers, on site. Thankfully, I have a lot of in-house workers, carpenters, master framers, master carpenters, jack of trade guys. I have a lot of guys in house that I actually, somewhat own their time to a certain extent as employees. But some, other guys, we're on their schedule. So the thing is, if their schedule's hectic, we're trying to coordinate them. So like I said, it's organized chaos. It's absolutely
Colin's got some experience. I can see her percolating over there.
I think it's really important to remind them that it's not going to be perfect. As much as I try to make it perfect in buying and selling a home and remodeling a project,
I can assure them the product will be perfect. The
Yes.
process is always going to be hectic.
It's going to be imperfect.
The process will always be hectic. You're going to go through ups and downs just as much as anything. So,
Mr. and Miss Joan, I will be overseeing your reconstruction. This is my pool guy, this is my electrician, and this is our staff therapist.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Take them out for drinks every now and then.
Constant life coach. Like have a drink in the
I
afternoon.
say alcohol always is the cure of everything.
An ideal situation would be for the clients to be able to go away and have a relaxing time at a spa for about 4 weeks.
But what would they be able to do that with? They have to first trust. The thing is, if you don't trust your contractor, you're not gonna have it. It's not gonna be enjoyable.
Exactly.
Just as much as if you don't trust your husband or you don't trust your wife, your relationship isn't gonna be that enjoyable.
Exactly.
Whenever they're going and doing something.
Well, I think that's a big factor. You
have to trust who you hired.
And also, that's why you hire professionals.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
The shows that really kind of hurt professionals, I think, are the shows like DIY, and people think they can go out and do stuff on their own, get into complicated situations, and they go, "Oh, we really can't do this for $1,000."
And also, they think they're like, "Oh, it's not going to take 4 days." Oh my God!
Oh,
and where's the filming crew? Why aren't they here?
Also, if you are going to remodel your home, do it fluidly. Don't put 4 different kinds of flooring in your home, please.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I've ever walked into a house and you can say, "Oh, you must have done that in the '70s. Oh, that one was done in the '80s."
Oh, you had a friend that knew a tile guy and a carpet guy. And
that was another thing I want to touch on while I was sitting back here biting my nails. I was like, you know what? Pick a contractor that has some sort of sense in design, because contractors aren't necessarily supposed to be yes people. They're supposed to actually inform you, like with knowledge. Sage advice, and also advise you in a way. And if your contractor isn't a designer or doesn't have a design background or doesn't have really artistic, creative products that blend your home perfectly with your outdoor pool, outdoor living, with your house, go get a designer. Help out with that.
Don't
and
be just
Kristian,
a
this comes
man,
back to Colleen and saleability as well. You know what? If a project does not look comfortable in the design process, it's not going to be comfortable to anybody. When people come into a home which is in the process of being sold, they want its curb appeal. If it doesn't look right, or there's something out of balance out the front, or you've got all these different materials and textures going on, it's just not going to sell. Cohesiveness and balance sells.
Well, actually, I knew an attorney who would do all his depositions in one room, and every chair was mismatched. There was animal trophies on the wall. Everything was just kind of like a little bit disjointed, but nothing that you would walk in and see. But that's the same thing. If you got things that don't work together and coordinate, you're going to have an uneasiness in that house, and you're not even going to know why.
I just showed a house that was contemporary, and it was country, and then it was European, and you're like, "What?
We got whatever you want. What do you need?"
You're like, "What's going on in this house?" And I found out later The woman had been married 3 different times. So
I guess they sound like a metaphor for her personality. Yeah,
it's perfect sense.
This was my first husband. He was a little country.
That is
This is my third. He's a little bit rock and roll.
Oh, that is hilarious.
there are all kinds of.
Her and her house outlasted the spouses.
Yeah, well, you could Google.
Smart woman.
Google her, and you could find all these husbands. Oh, got it.
That's too funny.
That is too funny.
Need to give you that address, Christian.
Yeah, exactly.
She needs to hire Christian and down on the pools here.
Exactly.
And have, of course,
Well, that's another example. The pool, very contemporary. House, very country. No,
Wow.
it looks very odd.
I don't know if you've done this in your earlier years with pools and stuff, but I've actually, let maybe 1 or 2 homeowners actually, they're very stubborn, so they wanted to know, this is what I want, this is what I want. I was like, okay. I said, it's probably not the right direction. You can only advise them, right? So I've let one of these homeowners like pick out their stuff. The thing is, homeowners can, I see that, I like that. But whenever you're picking out, 10, 15, 20 different types of things that's going into a house, the materials, mediums, faucets, fixtures, paint colors, all this, whenever you're blending them all together as one project, it's a whole different story than saying, hey, I like that color. Hey, I like that over there. They know those specific things as one, but whenever you put them all together, I mean, it's a mess. I let this one homeowner do it, and I had to rip everything out. I was like, look, you chose this. I said, I'm letting you go. I said, I'm advising you differently. And once we did it, once it started coming together halfway through, he was like, oh, my God, this is terrible. We have to talk. I was like, okay. So we ended up going full circle and went around to the exact thing that I proposed to him initially. And then the same paint color, moving things down.
Listen to your professional.
That's right.
The other thing is that sometimes there's things that you like, but you have to fast forward. You may not be in this house for the remainder of your life, and so when you really personalize it, you have to then assume that is somebody else going to like that when they come to buy your house in 10 years' time. Keeping it neutral, and there's things that you can do which are very classy and look
timeless.
Amazing. Exactly.
Timeless.
Well, the other thing is remember this: a 6 by 6 inch piece of tile looks completely different when you're looking at one piece than when it's actually installed. So that's what it comes down to.
Especially if it's a natural stone. Natural stones is completely different, and all through the variety of all the pieces.
Well, and that's why I really appreciated the advice when we were talking about the pool. In my area, if we went too high on the pool, in the cost of the pool, whether I could afford it or not doesn't make a difference. It would be outpriced in the neighborhood. And so,
only if you're trying to make your money back. The point is, how much is your happiness worth? So the point, if you want to overspend, overspend because you want it. Don't overspend because you think I need to get this money back.
I want a happy medium.
Right.
And Colleen had said, we had overpriced our house several times and she quit doing that. So I'm trying to avoid the, quit doing that part. And that's why I appreciated the advice so much. Like, here's the budget and here's what I'd like. And okay, yeah, you can get the spa and the pool in that budget, but it's just going to be the spa and the pool, and that's it. So he said, rather than spend the money on the spa, invest in the environment and the invitability of the backyard and create a better experience. Right. And I was like, holy cow, that makes a lot of sense.
You're gonna enjoy.
That makes a lot of sense.
Well, we are coming up in less than 2 minutes on the show.
How does that happen?
Teresa Kennedy, our good friend who always sends us responses on quotes for the show, her son threw her cell phone into the pool.
Yes.
After apparently he sees her with the phone all the time and thought that she shouldn't be without it. So when she went into the pool, he said, "Oh, Mom, here's your phone." So,
but she did send us a really good.
But she still managed to get us a quote,
which is great for today's show.
Yes.
Go for it.
And I'm just going to say, I'm just pulling it up.
If you don't have it, I do have it right here.
Go ahead.
It is, do unto others as you would have done unto you. And I think that's very appropriate.
Bible verse.
Exactly. Very good verse for what we've got going on right now. Because that's absolutely true. You want to find a good contractor. You want to find an excellent agent. And you want to have somebody who's going to look out for you and is going to do unto you as you expect.
So I want to thank Colleen.
Find somebody that takes pride in their work.
Colleen and Kristian and Brett for being on today. We had a lot of fun. Hope everyone out there had a lot of fun as well.
Man, I think we always have fun. And one of the things we tell everybody, go out, look us up on Facebook.com. Look up the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show. You can find all of our great guests. You can find all of our old shows. And if you're looking for a professional, we talk about this all the time, that's where all the professionals that we have on the show, our guests like today, you can look up.
Our web guy is good enough that handles the Real Estate Rat Pack. He already got Down Under Pools logo up on the Real Estate Rat Pack website. So realestateratpack.com if you want to get a pool. It's already down the last couple seconds. So
and next time,
we're out.
and you've been listening to the Real Estate Rat Pack. The question is, who's Frank, who's Sammy, who's Dean, and who's the other guy?
Chris is Frank,
I'm
he's
Dean.
Dean, and I'm Sammy.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So tune in to the really big show every Saturday at 9 a.m. right here on 100.7 The Word, KKHT.